Thank you for all coming. This talk that I'm going to give, and I'm not a talker, don't do speeches too often, so I am a little nervous. But this talk is in honor of a colleague of mine who's battling the fight right now, stage 2 pancreatic cancer. He's going through chemo, radiation, chemo once again, radiation once again. Couldn't make it here because he wasn't strong enough. Vincent Blasi. Hopefully he's going to win this fight. Woo! So, as you heard, my name is Stewart Lande. I'm an 8-year survivor of pancreatic cancer. This is my story. About 10 years ago, I had a condition that was diagnosed as pancreatitis. I spent the next year and a half visiting probably a dozen or so emergency rooms in New York City. Treatment was always the same, IV and morphine, a lot of morphine. And apparently pancreatitis is an inflammation of the pancreas. And the reason I bring it up is 10 years ago, they had no clue that pancreatitis oftentimes led to pancreatic cancer. So nobody warned me of it, nobody told me to keep a check on it. But the progress has been so tremendous that they now know that and a lot more. The knowledge is actually increasing exponentially. So one reason why we're here. 8 years ago, I went for a routine exam in Beth Israel Hospital in New York. They discovered a spot and they suggested I visit a doctor in the hospital, which I did. The next day or so, I went to a very prestigious hospital in New York, and they said I had pancreatic cancer. I'm not sure at that time that I understood what that meant, but they told me that it was called carcinoma in situ, IPMN, just medical terms, but basically there's a cancer in my pancreas that had not spread. The treatment was to remove my whole pancreas, and I'd have a condition known as brittle diabetes, which meant I would have to walk around with an insulin pump the rest of my life, and I had a limited diet and I had to carry around digestive enzyme pills. When I got home, my wife and I were kind of floored. We didn't know what was happening. We were angry, sad, confused. I called up. I figured I got to start learning about what I had. I called up the Pancreatic Action Network, and they referred me to somebody who explained what I had and why it's possible to survive, and I should keep a positive attitude. But the most important thing they explained to me was don't settle. Go seek a second opinion. Go find out what alternatives you had. And that's what I did. I went to the top cancer hospital in New York, and they gave me an alternative. They said that you didn't need your whole pancreas removed. We can give you what's called a Whipple procedure, which is just take out the head of your pancreas, and you wouldn't need an insulin pump, and you'd survive. Again, I spoke to somebody from the PANCAN Action Network, and he assured me that he's living okay. It was a little tough in the beginning, but he's fine. So I had some positive reinforcement. I said to my wife, you know, there's such difference in opinion on what my condition was. Why don't we go for a third opinion? And that's what we did. That's what I did. And I got my Whipple procedure done in Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore by a doctor called Dr. John Cameron, who had completed over 2,000 Whipples. And I went there for 2 reasons: his experience, and 2, because he did it a little different way. Instead of just cutting and removing, he would have the oncologist on board, and they would like resect the pancreas until they found a clear margin and they knew I was cancer free. Then he sewed me back up and put me out to heal. And that decision, I think, helped save my life. And I'm here today to tell you that it's important to go for multiple opinions and see multiple doctors and get on Google and make sure you know everything you can about pancreatic cancer. But everything was not just terrible. I had some good things. And the good things was I learned about something we all take for granted, and that's the miracle of life. Look at it out here today. It's unbelievable. I never used to appreciate things, and I do that now. I also found out I had a very, very important, close, indispensable friend, my wife, Maureen Lande, who helped sponsor this event. She was with me by my side through all the ordeals, and I'm happy she's still with me. I love you, honey. I have to look at my notes because I don't remember anymore. A little emotional. So I also got to see your grandson, push him around. He's running around here. He's 2 years old now. And most importantly, I learned to give back and the pleasures of giving back. I never realized the pleasure it is to help others. I do that all the time, and I do it for myself because I enjoy it. And what I want to say about PANCAN Action Network, in order for us to win the fight, we can't do this individually. There's no effort individually that you're going to do to make a difference. It's as a group we're going to win. As a team we're going to win. And your presence here today supports that. Thank you, Pancreatic Cancer Action Network.